You'll probably remember a week or two ago, a lady got in my face on the beachfront path here in Sanur, and it sort of generated a lot of comments and a lot of real emotion about how some people like to tell other people what to do. It was the first time it had actually happened to me here in Sanur after being here for 2.5 years. But the crazy thing is, it's happened again. So let's talk about that while I go and have a roti canai and a teh tarik at Warung Bunana, which is a great little place that I haven't been to for such a long time, but I'm going to check out once again. Look at it. They have a little in-house dog here, which is pretty cute. Obviously going to be picking up all the scraps when you drop a bit of roti on the ground there. So roti canai, I think it's a lot more famous in a place like Malaysia. I think that's where I would normally have had it, and they do make it here as well at this place called Warung Bunana, which is in Sanur, sort of on the bypass. I think it's a fabulous little place. It's quite cheap too. Like, I just got a large roti canai and a large iced teh tarik, and that's cost me 29,500. You can go even cheaper than that. If you just want a small snack, they'll do a roti canai, a small one, for 7,500, which is just fabulous value. Very popular with locals. I don't think I see many foreigners in here. Well, I've never seen a foreigner in here, but I mean, it's not like I come here every day. Obviously foreigners do come here, but it's not that popular. So let's talk about this incident that's happened again down on that beachfront path. It's absolutely crazy. I'll relay the story again, and then we can talk about it a little bit. So one of the things I am aware of though is that if you keep running into Karens, there's a good chance that you are the Karen. So I'm aware of that, but I'm going to highlight the story anyway. And if I keep running into these people, I must be the problem. So anyway, I'm running down the path, and just as I normally do, when I'm running, my mind goes quite clear. I'm not really thinking about too much. It's not like I'm really grinding out issues and this sort of stuff, or thinking about too much. I don't notice people. A lot of people notice me on the beachfront path, and I don't acknowledge them, not because I'm being rude, but mainly because my mind's clear. So I'm running along the path as I normally would in all the normal places that I would, and I look up and this lady sort of coming down the path, and I'm on the far left. A lady coming down the path, and she's got her arm out like that. And I thought, oh, it must be a European, like signalling where she's going to turn. But as she got closer, she started saying something which I couldn't really hear, but it didn't sound very pleasant. And I realised she's telling me, no, I need to be on that side. And then her husband behind her was on a bicycle shouting out something as well. I can't remember the exact words, but it was something along the lines of, you need to be over that side. And Susan this time was running behind me, so I was the one that copped the brunt of it. And I actually just whipped around, and I said to the guy, mate, you're just a Karen. And then I jogged off. But it sort of got me thinking about what's going on here. I'm quite surprised by it. And it's got me thinking, for the past week, I've sort of been thinking about these issues, not stressing about it, but trying to get to the bottom of what is going on here, because I'm not used to that sort of stuff going on, like people telling me what to do. And certainly in Australia, where I grew up, you sort of did whatever you wanted, really. Well, that iced teh tarik with all those rampa on top looks very good. I'll just check that one out while we think about what's going on the beachfront path. Beautiful, quite sweet too. Teh tarik, if you don't know what it is. Tarik is the word for pull in Indonesian and Malaysian. Teh is the word for tea, so it's a pulled tea, and what it means is that they foam it up. So they usually do one of these ones where they stretch the milk, and it gets foamy, and it gives the milk a little bit of texture. Anyway, what I've been thinking about is that as Aussies, we're not really, I didn't think in my sort of growing up, I didn't think we were really massively into rules. Some European nations are really strict and some are less strict. So for example, the Germans have a reputation for being quite strict and quite love adhering to rules, whereas the Spanish and the Italians, not as much. they're stereotypes, but I mean, I think it's generally true. And I always thought that Australians, you know, living in sunny climate and being quite relaxed people, we were a little bit closer to, well, maybe in between, you know, the Spanish and the Germans, you know, maybe like the Dutch, I guess. But this new thing that's happening to me on the beachfront path, that twice it's been Aussies that have been calling me out, which I find a little bit disheartening, really. So I don't know what's going on. I mean, I don't live in Australia anymore. You would have a better feel for some of these things. I see in the comments occasionally people are saying that you can't do anything in Australia now without getting a fine, for example. And I understand that, because I know, of course, I do go back to Australia quite often. I know if I drive in Australia, I'm super careful, and it feels like there's someone always watching over your shoulder. Now that leads to a much more disciplined society, much more pleasant and much more structured. You know what you're dealing with most of the time. And it's a stark contrast to what you have in Bali, where it's more chaotic and the rules aren't really as important. Yeah, I just thought that was an interesting point. The rules aren't really as important here. There are rules and people don't always follow them, and it's a little bit chaotic. And then there's, for example, down that beachfront path, there are new people coming every day that have never been down there before, and they don't know what the local sort of way of doing things is, so they'll be all over the path, and I just sort of follow what everyone else does, really. The other thing that's been bothering me a little bit is that because my channel's getting a little bit bigger and it's quite concentrated in Sanur, I'm getting a little bit concerned that because I'm recognised all over the place, if something happens to me like that, I don't really have the ability to defend myself. Otherwise, I'll be known as that guy from YouTube who's nasty or something like that. I am sort of cognizant of that particular aspect of things. It doesn't mean that I won't blow up, I reckon, if I need to, but yeah, that is sort of weighing on my mind a little bit. Yeah. Because I mean, because what happened in the comments of the last video I made about this particular topic was that I got a lot of comments that YouTube actually blocks them, but they go into this like a held folder where it says you shouldn't publish these, and a lot of swear words in there where people are saying, oh, you should have just told her to go and da-da-da-da, like you should defend yourself, and like obviously can't put them up. And I wouldn't do that, but yeah. Yeah, it's just something to think about, I guess. All right, thank you. Look at that, beautiful. See, this is savoury, yeah? That's a little curry there and a big roti canai, which looks very crispy. Let's get stuck into that. They give you a spoon and a fork, but I don't think I'll be using that. It's usually eaten with your hands. And it's hot, it's hot. So roti is the word for bread in Indonesian and in Malay. I don't know what canai means. I'm not really familiar with that. It's a Malay word. Oh. It's like more like an Indian-inspired bread. I think this came from the Indians in Malaysia, this style. And that little curry dipping sauce is just beautiful. They have a little grill out the front that they cook all of this on, and they slap it around and they're banging it, stretching it, and it becomes very crispy. It's like a bunch of oil used on it. I met a local guy on the path the other day who I pass quite often, and I hadn't really said hello before, and he said hello to me and said, oh, are you tired? I said, yeah, I've just been running. We just got a little bit of a chat, and then I said to him, just got a question, because I was curious about the local perspective on these matters. I said, oh, what do you think about foreigners complaining that you're not walking in the right spot? Because he was actually in what is considered by some to be the wrong spot, which is where I was. And he was genuinely surprised that I rose that issue, because it had not even occurred to him. He's been there for years, he's never even thought about it. And he would have actually confronted these issues face to face and had people say stuff to him, but it's sort of like not even registered that some people believe that he's walking in the wrong spot. And he said, well it's a public path and there's no laws. He was quite perplexed that I was actually asking him about it, because it's not something he's thought about. Which I think really goes to the heart of the Indonesian character, which is, it's almost like in the Buddhist philosophy where you might be aware of things generally around you, but you're really allowing things to wash over you or pass you by, things that are of no concern to you. And there's a lot to take from that you shouldn't react. So I shouldn't go calling someone a Karen if they have a go at me, which is the Western mindset is to defend yourself. So, and then Susan has sort of said, just smile and say thanks, just like an Indonesian might. Yeah, thanks, if someone says something to you. And don't change what you're doing if you don't think what you're doing is wrong. It's interesting, because this whole debate is not around whether someone's breaking the rules or not. This is the key part of it, because I think a lot of people, Westerners, will debate the rules down to the nth degree and say, oh, in this area you should do this and this. This is not about rules, about debating how the rules are applied. It's about whether you should be told by other people what to do and whether you should respect other people, get in other people's faces and that sort of thing. Because the chaos that you see in Bali is a product of the people and the way the people are. And it's what we love about the place. The chaos is actually what a lot of people love. If you don't love it, Bali's probably not the place for you. There are other places that'll probably suit you. I actually enjoy the chaotic nature of it. It's sort of mirrored on the roads. I mean, the roads are just absolute chaos. If you come here with your Western mindset and get out onto the roads, you get into trouble. A lot of people have accidents because they think, well, I was in the right. It's like, yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in the right, you've had an accident. Don't sort of think just because I'm in the right that it's all going to be okay like it might be in the West, because it's not. And that means sort of taking it a bit slower on the roads, because things happen here unexpectedly that you say, well, if the rules say that person has to stop there and then I get hit, well, it's their fault. Yeah, okay, it's their fault, but you know, you got a broken leg. Like, it doesn't really matter. That's not something I knew instinctively, by the way. I mean, that's taken me years to get my head around it, and I still occasionally bump into these issues where I need to check myself and say, you know what, we're in Indonesia here, you know. Yeah. I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion, because it goes into a lot more detail about how Indonesia works. I love that aspect of it, and trying to figure out how we react to some of these things that we're facing every day. If you just live here on the very surface level, and you don't really think about these things too much, it must be very frustrating. Very frustrating. Okay, let's carry on. Warung Bunana is a real deal local warung. I absolutely love this place. It's one of my favourite places. Thank you. One of my favourite places, actually. I really love it. I probably should go there more often. I don't know why I don't. There's actually a lot of places that I love that I probably don't go to as often as I should. We're just going to walk down Jalan Danau Poso a little bit and then turn right down Jalan Pengembak or Pangembak, whichever way you want to spell it. It's got two spellings, I think. And that sort of relates to the area that we're in, which is Pengembak, which is because there's a temple not far from here, down near the canal, which is for the spiritual healing. And it's called Pura Dalam Pengembak. Yeah, it's for Malukat. You know, a friend of mine, Dr. Junie, you've seen her on the channel a few times. She's actually gone and done a spiritual healing down there before and done the whole thing, the way they splash it with water, and they've got the priests there and all that sort of stuff. And a really interesting experience, she says. As we walk around, I always love to think about what words are really, that I love, you know, and that I can share with you. And one of them is the word kangen. And kangen means to miss, you know, I miss something. Like I miss a person, or I miss a thing, or I miss a place. And it works the same way in Indonesian, pretty much the same way. So you can use objects, places, and people. And it's called kangen. So you can say, aku kangen kamu. You could say that, I miss you. But I thought I'd mix that in with how you can create sentences with it. So you can say, aku kangen nasi goreng Bali. And what it means is, I miss Balinese nasi goreng. But what if you were missing the nasi goreng which they sell in Bali? Well, you could say, aku kangen nasi goreng di Bali. But the problem with that is that even though it translates to I miss nasi goreng in Bali, doesn't mean you miss eating nasi goreng in Bali, or you miss the actual nasi goreng itself, which is in Bali. And even in English, we may need to clarify that sometimes with the way we speak. So that's the simple way to say that sentence, but I would say if you're actually missing the actual nasi goreng which you get in Bali, you might say something like, aku kangen nasi goreng yang ada di Bali. And yang ada, the word yang is which and ada is have. So which they have in Bali. Just going to go down here, Jalan Pengembang. Now if you meant something like, I miss the nasi goreng, or the vibes that you have when you have nasi goreng in Bali, rather than, if you want to be specific about that aspect of eating nasi goreng in Bali, you would then say something like, aku kangen suasana makan nasi goreng di Bali. Yeah, that would be a way to say, because suasana is a really great word, which means the atmosphere or the vibe of a place and the feeling of a place. And in Bali, it has some great suasana, and we will often refer to that. Aku sangat suka suasana di pantai di Sanur. Obviously, in the comments of my videos, I get a lot of questions about language and how I learnt and what the translations of different words are, and any advice for getting over some humps that people have sort of faced. And what most people find when they're learning a language is you get to plateaus. So you'll go up and you get to a certain level and you find that you can't learn anymore. You're at your maximum. And you've got to find a way to get past that. It's almost like sometimes when you're losing weight, you might lose 5 kilos and you're doing the same thing, but you're not losing anymore. And you've got to find a different way just to drop the next few kilos. And that's the same sort of thing with languages as well. You've got to come up with creative ways to continue the learning. And for a lot of people, it means going and having formal classes. It might be sort of changing up your living situation, so you're interacting with more locals, or there's lots of different ways you can do it. For me, I actually went through a few different phases. I learned through the flashcards initially, and that got me my base. Really important for me, that step of it. Then I got to a level from that where your mind's not really working quick enough to have proper discussions, so you don't really progress much. And what I did at one point, I had a 3-month trip in Bali where I was on my own, driving around, interacting with locals every day and purposely trying to speak what little language I had. And by the end of that 3 months, my fluency was through the roof. In other words, I was able to recall words that I'd already learnt very quickly, and I was able to understand what people were saying very, very well after 3 months. Then that was my next plateau. So I stayed there for a few years actually. Oh no, maybe a year. I didn't get much better, and then after that I thought, you know what, to keep going I'm going to need to get some more formal teaching. I actually thought I was very good at that stage. I thought, yeah, I'm really good at Indonesian, but I realised pretty quickly when I went to the language school and they only put me in the second class out of 9 that I wasn't that good. And I was actually joining students who had started from 0 with no knowledge of Indonesian and had only been studying for a month, and I was at their level. I was a little bit more fluent, like in terms of being able to recall and so forth, but they had more education about the language than I did. And that's probably a really good way to put it, is that sometimes you can get really fluent in a bad level of language, which is where I was. So yeah, getting that formal language thing going on, it's really helpful. You can even go and get private lessons here in Sanur, a place called Cinta Bahasa. They'll do private lessons for you. And if you're here for a week, you could go like for an hour every day and just learn some things from someone. That helps a lot. I've spoken about this before, but the other thing that I sort of got into pretty early on was Indonesian music. Because I think if you enjoy music, you can enjoy music from all around the world, and Indonesia has its own thriving music scene and has done for a very long time. So if you like old-fashioned music, or if you like music from certain eras like 60s, 70s, 80s, there is a whole genre of Indonesian music from that time which is quite listenable and quite enjoyable. And obviously when you listen to it, you start to learn the lyrics of a language that you don't speak. And then when you start translating, it makes it a little bit easier to learn some words if you love your music. I mean, obviously it goes right up to the modern stuff as well. And most of that stuff is freely available on all those streaming services now, whether it be YouTube or Apple Music or Spotify or whatever. You can it's all very accessible these days. You don't need to go and buy a cassette tape or a CD or whatever in Indonesia to actually listen to it. Some of the famous ones in the past of places like were artists like Chrissia, and some of those golden oldies are actually quite listenable, like quite enjoyable. And then there's modern pop groups and rock groups, and one of the biggest ones for a long time there, and I've spoken about this before, is that, and who I got into pretty early, was a band by the name of Peter Pan. Mainly because it was at the height of my excitement about Indonesia and about learning Indonesian, and I bought a couple of their CDs and listened to them relentlessly. And then I visited Indonesia for a 5-week holiday and travelled through Sumatra and other places, and that CD was actually on the radio and on the buses and stuff quite often, so it has a real sort of nostalgia feeling for me as well. So look them up. They sort of disbanded and they're called Noah these days, but the music's still very good. Sort of a pop rock type thing. Love it. I'm coming up to the canal that leads out into the ocean there, and then sort of at the southern end of the beachfront path is in that direction across the sands. This is Pantai Murtasari. Someone in the comments recently said I roll my ass too much. Roll my ass? Roll my R's. And it's something I've actually commented on myself before, is that sometimes as Indonesian speakers, we like to accentuate the R's, especially when we can do them a little bit better than some other people. So when I say the word gili air, I'll give that little R a bit of a roll, when locals don't always do that. Sometimes they do. If they really want to get expressive, oh, hello. Hey, wait. Oh, that thing was just about to bite me. Ooh. Got to be careful down here. You get a rabid dog on you. That cost you a bit. See that? Did I get that on camera? The jaws opened of that dog. I thought it was just coming up for a sniff. Beautiful day here in paradise again, isn't it? It was 23 degrees when I woke up this morning. It's now breezy and not too warm, not too humid. So when I went for a run this morning, just beautiful weather. I got on the motorbike and with short sleeves, it was cold to the arm, but it's warmed up nicely. Fine for going for a swim in the pool and so forth. It's quite warm, but not as warm as it would be in the hot season when it's just brutal. If you look at this area here, it's an odd little sort of geographical feature, isn't it? With that big lake in there and so forth. Apparently, this was part of the ocean back in the day. So if you have a look at historical satellite photos, the road was way back there. The shoreline was way back there. And for some reason they filled it all in at one point and made that canal a little bit more structured. And this area is used for all sorts of events these days. They have concerts here, they have the big kite festivals here, which are sort of on throughout July and August, and maybe I'll come down and film those again this year. I did last year, and it's just chaos and brilliant. And they also have big ceremonies down here as well, especially when you've got things like Malasti, where it requires locals from all around the area to come down to the beach and do ceremonies. Well, you have a lot of different areas around here being used for those ceremonies, and it's quite well organised. And you'll get big groups of Balinese in white and yellow praying in that direction. It's quite fascinating. Gee, the beach is looking good today. The sun is quite bright and quite harsh. And what it does, it makes the water look absolutely astonishing. So I'll show you that. Pretty cool, eh? Pretty cool. Just looks phenomenal at the moment. Only a little bit of weed in there. Looks fairly clean, actually. Looks like a really decent time to swim around here. Love it. This is what it looks like through my sunnies. It's got that real contrasty look to it and a lot more saturated. Looks great, eh? This sort of the end of the beach is a bit more local style, a bit quieter because it's right at the end of the beachfront path. And back there's a little warung selling four bintangs for 130,000. No tax added onto that, so that's pretty good value, isn't it? What would you get for that in somewhere like Australia by the beach? Would you get one beer? You might, mightn't you? Might not. It's actually one of the dangerous things about living in a place like Indonesia, where you can get a beer for about 20,000 a bottle if you live here and you're doing it through the wholesale. You can knock back a 6-pack for under 10 bucks. Well, that's dangerous. Beach is looking beautiful, isn't it? Picture perfect. Picture perfect. Sadly, there is a little bit of rubbish there. Most of it is plastic cups, aqua glass. And those companies who are still producing that and selling it here in Bali should be absolutely ashamed of themselves. You know, the government's put out a regulation that's saying that they shouldn't be sold anymore. Though they obviously are, because they're in the water here, you know. It's just terrible that they're still being sold. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. I think there's someone, yeah, there's quite a few people swimming out there, and it's just the go, isn't it? Love Sanur, love it. So that scene's directly outside the Genius Cafe, which is this place here, which is sort of right next door to the Mercure Hotel, which is one of the more southerly hotels. It used to be the most southern one, but now you've got the Sumitra, which is even further south than that. It's actually a pretty good place down this end. Like, I really enjoy this end of the path, to be honest, especially if you like getting on a bicycle. All right, I'm back at Lilla Pantai. It's only just opened about a week or so ago, and that's the view out there. You can sit on the beach or sit around here, which is what I might do actually. Just take a seat and have a coffee. Okay, I decided to sit right down the front here. Look at that view. Isn't that great? Great little view here from Lilla Pantai. I didn't come down here originally because there's too many people down here, but actually it's not. Like, it looked like when I came past there, there was too many people down the front. But then I went inside and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna have a look down the front. It's actually empty down here. It's actually the best spot. All right, let's give this coffee a go.
Mantap.
Good one. I'm not as big a fan of the foam this time compared to what I had last time. It's a little bit more like a 1980s cappuccino, this foam, but it's still a good tasting coffee. Maybe they need to work on that foam action there, because the milk needs to be textured without getting really frothy. I'm just going to nick back home, have a shower, change clothes, and go out and meet a friend of mine, a guy who I actually interviewed on the channel, maybe 3 or 4 months ago now. It's interesting, when I talk about showering here in Indonesia, Indonesians shower multiple times a day quite often. Not everyone, but like, that's the general theory is, at least twice a day, because you sweat so much. They like to mandi, and usually it's traditionally with a gayung, a little scoop that they'll put in a buck mandi and then throw it over themselves. And a gayung is a great little word for a bucket that you see all around in old school toilets. But people still have them in their bathrooms to this day. Obviously more modern style bathrooms don't, but that's the traditional way to do it. And 2 or 3 showers a day, pretty normal. So let's get over to the other side and catch up with Dave. So a quick change of clothes and over at the west side now. Just here to meet a guy by the name of Dave. You might have seen him on my previous, I did an interview with him like about 3 months ago. This is a place called Manos, which I have never been to before. Hey Dave, how you going, mate?
Hi.
There you go.
Selamat pagi.
Pagi.
Yeah.
Buck Dave. Dave has a great story if you haven't seen it before. I've got a video where I interview him and he tells us about his story about moving to Bali only about, how long ago? 3-4 months ago?
4 months ago, yeah.
It tells us the story about how he moved here and all the sort of the growing pains that he's been going through. And today I just wanted to follow up a little bit on that and try out this beautiful cafe called Manos, which is up here on Jalan Batur Sari. All right, me and Dave have got ourselves a couple of coffees here. They look pretty good. I mean, as good as they can look. Shiny, nice temperature. Let's give it a go.
Mantap.
That is a good one. I like that. That's got a nice flavour to it. Good coffee. Definitely decent. I don't even know how much that cost. I've got a receipt somewhere. Let's have a look. All right, so I just nicked up there, look at the menu, see how much I'm paying for this thing. Only 28,000. That is an absolute bargain here in Sanur. 28,000 for fantastic coffee. Absolutely love it. So you'll probably recall that I interviewed Dave only when you'd only been here like a couple of weeks or maybe a month.
Or less, 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah. So you've now been here for 3 or 4 months and you've sort of settled in probably quite well by now, I would imagine. That sort of the teething process of getting all your furniture and stuff sorted out and where your daily routine is, that's all sort of sorted out now, I would imagine.
Definitely, the daily routine's well and truly sorted. Where to source everything is sorted.
Yep.
So just the logistics of day-to-day living are are all locked and loaded now.
So now that you've been here for like 3 or 4 months, you've probably got an opinion on how things are going for you. Are you sort of feeling that, I guess, it's the right decision and that things are going well?
Oh, there's no doubt it was the right decision. Yeah, there's been a few little... the issue of distance, for example, I did become aware just how far I was away from New Zealand and other important people in my life, but I've now made peace with that, and everything's settling into place. But that did cause me a little bit of a bump in the road at one point. Yeah.
So when you talk about that, you're talking about so you've got obviously relationships with people back in New Zealand, which you might have in the past just nicked across to see them if there was any issues, but now you can't really do that. Is that what you're sort of referring to, or?
Yeah, kind of like that. You've got long-term relationships that you foster over years, as I did back in New Zealand, and definitely there were times where I was aware that I was a long, long way away from those people. But the good thing, I guess, too, with technology, it's easy. You can video call, you can do lots of other things. So whilst there was a time when I was feeling a little bit disconnected from them, that's no longer the case anymore.
Now, it's well known that you love your gym. Have you been able to sort of get into a good routine with your gym sessions and that sort of stuff here, or just general exercise and movement around the place? Or how are you going with that?
Definitely. Everything's going well at the gym. My progression in the gym has been better than it ever has been for a long, long time. That's probably in part because of the environment and my eating and everything. It's just the whole package.
That's a Bali specific thing though, isn't it? That's really sort of been able to help you do that, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. Even when I was in Fiji, the gym there was good, but the environment wasn't quite the same, and the access to, I just wasn't eating as well as what I am here. So it's just the whole package here, I think, that's enabled me to make some of those progressions in the gym that I haven't done for quite a few years.
Because I kind of find that for me, I run. I find that my level of fitness here is a lot better because I'm able to get out. I don't know, it sort of draws you out to do stuff here. I feel like I need to be out and about doing things here.
Yeah, I definitely walk here a lot more than I do in Fiji and New Zealand. That's primarily down to the fact that I chose not to get involved with buying a scooter. So I do walk everywhere, just like we walk to here today.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely walking a lot more than I used to as well.
And what about in terms of finances? How's your spending going? Are you still sort of within the sort of budget you were sort of aiming at in the past?
Yeah, my budget is still, my self-imposed budget is still that 800 a week.
Yeah, 800 New Zealand.
800 New Zealand per week. Going forward, I may have to readjust that. I'm not too sure, but that just comes down to my own personal spending and what level I want to do things. But I can still continue to stay within that.
Yeah.
But no, it's all working out well.
Yeah. So you took a 1-year lease out on your current property.
Correct.
And could you see yourself extending that at some point?
Definitely. I contacted the landlord just recently to see if he was happy for me to extend, which he is. And I did that primarily because, the renewal can come up pretty quick.
Yeah,
and I didn't want to have to get caught out and have to go looking. But I'm more than happy to stay where I am. I really love where I am.
So that's a little bit of an update on where Dave's at, sort of 3 or 4 months into the project of moving here to Bali. It sounds like it's going great. It sounds like you've made a really good move and it's all sort of gone smoothly for you, really.
I made a comment to somebody recently, and it was that what I said to them was, what else would I do? Where else would I go? There is nothing. It would really take, not that I would move away from here because it would involve travelling further from my own home country, but it's pretty hard to beat this.
Yeah, I reckon. All right. Thank you very much for being on the channel once again, Dave. Thank you. Hey, look, thanks for coming along for the ride today with a few different topics that we've discussed today and also talking to Dave. Thanks for coming along for the ride and thanks for watching. Make sure you hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all things Sanur and the rest of Indonesia. I'll catch you next time and sampai jumpa.